This is a Global Original Podcast. In this week's episode, we learn a lot about carbon dioxide. I relate a tale of a day beside the seaside, beside the sea, and we relive a moment when I first saw a politician made of vegetables. But first, we meet a man who quizzes me about my political leanings, and then a woman complains about my volume.
Please hold the line. I'm trying to connect you.
Yes, I'm trying to connect to West Hampstead. Oh, Mark?
Hi, I want Boris Johnson to be our Prime Minister.
He is our Prime Minister.
For the next 10 years, minimum.
Oh, no.
Because he is the nicest cyclist I've ever met.
What?
We all came out of he's the nicest cyclist we've ever met. These days, cyclists are really aggressive people. We came out of a restaurant, we walked in the middle of the road, he nearly crashed into us, and he stopped, and he made sure we were all right. It was really nice, he had his beanie hat on, and his thing. It was really nice, and I know why I like Trump, Johnson and Margaret Thatcher. Why do you have all these axes to grind? Where does it come from? I'm curious. Why do you like that lot?
What lot?
Yes. I can't speak about them.
Who?
The left lot.
The left lot?
Yes. The ones who scratch my cars and park in my parking space and all this kind of thing.
Well, I am specifically against that lot. People who park in other people's parking spaces. People who park away... like if there's 3 car spaces, the morons who park in the middle, they just think, I'll leave it here because it's my right, I can do what I want. With no regard to anybody else at all, taking up 3 spaces where there should be, or really accurately taking up 2 spaces where there should be enough for 2 cars, and because they parked in the middle of it, there's only room for them. Those people should be executed with immediate effect.
Well, there's one in my place tonight with a C&D sticker. Anyways, where's all these axes you've got to grind? Where does it come from?
What are you talking about?
Well, I know why I support...
I know why you support the right, Mark, living in West Blooming Hampstead. It's because you're doing just fine. Well, never mind about where you were born. You didn't stay there, did you?
No,
you live in West Hampstead with the swells.
Margaret Thatcher allowed me to buy a house at 22. And basically, I thanked her. Eventually, we met her, and I like that lot because of reasons of progression. Why do you like that?
No, you like that lot because you are now you are now doing just fine, and they are more likely to allow you to keep more of your money.
I bet if Corbyn gets in, I'll be forced to take certain element of people in my spare rooms. Forced.
What?
That comes in a policy. He's got a secret policy where if you've got space, you will take refugees, you will take ex-prisoners, you will take...
Wow, I thought you were borderline smart. How wrong you can be about people. I'm a terrible judge of people. Yes, that's what Jeremy Corbyn is going to do. He's going to force you to put refugees up in your spare room, because that seems likely. John says, didn't Boris have the London bendy bus and make them water tanks? What? And make them water... And what? Didn't Boris have the London bendy bus and them water tanks? What's a water tank?
I think he means the cannons.
Oh, the Waffen Squirter 9000s. Yes, Boris did buy a couple of water cannons. And they were taken off him. Taken off him they were. They ripped from him like a dummy out of a baby's mouth. And plus, just before they were coming really, really useful, I bet. People will be out on the streets celebrating Boris's munificent leadership, and he will be required to hose them off the pavements. But he'll be fresh out of luck because he hasn't got those tanks anymore. And I don't think the London bendy bus had anything to do with him. I think that was the previous incumbent. Wasn't that Ken? Wasn't it Ken? The bendy bus? Or was that Boris? Was it Boris's bendy bus?
Maybe a bit of both.
You don't know, in other words?
Yeah, but...
Just say that. Never mind hedging your bets. Just say, I don't know. Just say... Elaine says, please can you speak up a bit? There's a helicopter hovering over Holloway, and I can't hear you. I'm too cosy in bed to get up and turn the volume up on the radio. A helicopter hovering over Holloway, you say. Well, if you listen to the people that say that anybody that lives near Heathrow should stop whining about the aircraft noise, it is your fault, Elaine, for living in Holloway. You deliberately moved to a place that was quite likely to have police helicopters hovering above it because of the criminal element that lives there. That's not a controversial thing to say, is it? No, I don't think so. Now, here's a man whose confusion is all-encompassing, followed by my glamorous assistant popping up an iconic image on my screen. Here is Luton. Hello, Graham.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Nick, what is going on?
That's an excellent question, Graham. Leave that with me, and we'll deal with that in the next hour.
I have no idea what to think of anything of what has been carrying on in the past probably 3 years.
Yeah. Or what will be in the future. Yeah. We don't know what's been and what will be. Nor what is, in fact.
I don't know where to go, what to do.
Well, as you're in Luton, just go anywhere else would be a good idea.
Who is our enemy?
Just take the road out that you find. Doesn't matter where it goes. It will be almost certainly better than where you are now.
Luton is the third most unpopular place to live in the UK, apart from Bradford and Leicester.
Is it?
That gives us a bronze award.
Is that true? Where did you get that from?
I actually think it is.
Oh, you just made it up. Well, it sounds believable. I believe it, and which makes it a fact. It's a fact, and we only deal with facts on this show. All right, thanks a lot, Graham. He can't believe where we've been, or is stunned at where we're going, and is absolutely gobsmacked at where we are right now. But apart from that, how's things going?
Fabulous.
Yeah, really great. Thanks for asking. Bill says, listen to Freddie Mercury and Montserrat Caballé singing Barcelona. That works well. No, it doesn't. Doesn't work well. It's dreadful. We should tweet that. That is excellent. It's a Jacob Leak smog. It's a private pike in a recumbent position sprawled across the benches as he was, like a 10-year-old that's trying to impress his schoolmates with how much he can get away with. In leak form, Jacob Leak smog comes second in Newent Onion Show. That's priceless. That's good work there. How did you come up with that so quick?
That's brilliant, isn't it?
It is great. Can we tweet that?
Let's try and tweet that.
All right, we'll try and tweet that for you. How will people find it?
Perhaps on your Twitter?
Well, I don't know how to do my Twitter.
I don't know how to do your Twitter.
Well, I don't know how to do my Twitter when I'm not at home. I don't do Twitter on my phone. I've disabled it because I just can't be bothered. But I don't know. Get that out there somewhere. Just print it out and throw it out the window. Go on, stick it on our website. Maybe we shouldn't do that because it's not my business. But, well, you just do an internet. There you go. Do an internet search. Have you seen the internet?
Disgusting.
There's just so much stuff on it. Tweet, Google Jacob Leak smog. Leeks. Jacob Leak smog. And that's really good. That is really good. They've even got his glasses. Priceless. Yes, if you haven't seen, it's probably on an internet near you. Worth a gander. Coming up, a scientist speaks.
Where would BC could help you?
It's got nothing to do with God. Don't bring her into it. I mean, if she didn't intervene during the Holocaust, she's not going to be remotely bothered about me getting my maths wrong. But I'll just take it that you don't like this and you don't like that and moan. This one says, no doubt you will have angry Brexiters ringing in with their toxic twaddle. Anybody ringing in with toxic twaddle?
Yes.
Thought so. Please, can you ask them how they feel about fracking? It's one of Uncle Nigel's favourite things. What, fracking and shouting and bulldogs and insults? Just a few of his favourite things. Ain't that right, Nigel?
I'm a nutcase.
0345 6060 973. Wigton, Warren.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Thank you. I love your show, and I think you do great work.
But
Talk to me about CO2 and what it does and where it is.
talk to you about CO2. Is that what you just
Yeah.
said? Okay. What are your feelings about CO2?
No. Not about my opinion. Your opinion.
My opinion on CO2.
Where is it? What does it do
Where?
in relation to climate change?
Why are you asking me this? What is this call about, Warren?
Because it's relevant, isn't it? CO2 is the issue now.
Is it? Well, it's an issue.
Right, so where is it? What does it do?
Where is it? Well, I'm pointing to some of it at the moment. There's some, and there's some over there. If only this was TV. And there's some over there. Oh, look, there's some CO2 over there.
Listen, it's about science.
Oh,
and CO2.
wow, science.
CO2,
Yeah, you should have said.
I'm limited in my education, but
Yeah.
I know that
You amaze me.
I know CO2 is a heavy gas.
Heavy.
It flies low. It does not go up to the atmosphere. It doesn't.
So it's heavy gas, and it doesn't go up to the atmosphere.
That's correct. And the theory is CO2 goes upstairs and traps the heat. I think that's climate change thing.
Yeah. Well, you certainly
Well-
have researched this thoroughly.
No, I haven't. From a basic point of view, I know what CO2 does. It's a heavy gas.
It's heavy, yeah. As in,
It's why trees grow on Earth,
yes.
because they breathe in CO2
Breathe it in and then,
and breathe out oxygen.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a basic fact.
Facts. Oh, wait, we're not remotely interested in your so-called facts, Warren.
Yeah, but they are facts.
Oh. Well, no doubt. Well, if you say they are, then it makes it true.
That is true.
Yeah. So
And,
you're saying that the CO2 is too heavy to go upstairs to the atmosphere,
Yep.
and therefore,
Yeah, it's not. Therefore, it's not creating this. What they claim is trapping the Earth's heat.
trapping the Earth's...
Can't
Oh, heat, right.
Yeah, it can't do.
I thought you said,
Can't do.
for a moment there, I thought you said trapping the Earth's feet, which would have made as much sense as anything else you've said so
No, I do like talking to you, but forgive my black country accent.
Oh, your accent's not a problem, Warren. It's what you're saying with that accent that is what I have an issue with.
Well, tell me I'm incorrect.
You're incorrect.
How?
How? In every possible way, Warren.
Tell me CO2 rises up. The only way CO2 goes into the atmosphere
Yeah.
is by perhaps a volcanic eruption.
Yes.
And it soon drops
No
down
doubt.
again.
It's propelled up by force. Yeah. Other than that, it's all around our feet.
It's a heavy gas. It doesn't exist up
Right.
there. That's it.
Don't lie
Why?
down
It's
because you
caused by
may
the sun.
never get back up again.
You still haven't made a point.
Well, then we're just going to have to agree to be disappointed, Warren. Well, we certainly have got off to a great start, eh?
No.
This says, Save the Planet is just a political stunt. The real problem will be, once again, we get let down over Brexit, and all members of Parliament let us not leave the Europe. No, not climate change. No, it will be anarchy, A-N-E-R-K. Never seen in this country? No. He says, last week I was in Wales and I could get 18,000 Welsh walk now to London and riot. I wonder if that last caller wrote that. He's multitasking. And Anne in Barnet says, let's see what this one's like. I hope all the parents whose kids were protesting will stop driving their kids to school. Support with action, not just words. See, another one of those people. Oh, well, that one over there, he cooked his dinner. So, he wants to get out of it. Use gas he did. And that one over there, he's got central heating. God, what is it with you people? Actually determined to prevent people from saving the planet that you're standing on. Because that would mean that the liberal lefties have won. The human race has lost its mind. Well, that's just a fact. It is verifiable. Now, here's me yakking on about a day out at the seaside, followed by a check-in with a nice lady who has become something of an irregular regular. This says, I went to Folkestone on your recommendation. So disappointed, I want my money back. What? Contemplating going to Florence again on your recommendation. However, I'm scared. I could be disappointed again. I like London today with all the protesters. Certainly focuses the mind. How can you go to Folkestone and not like it? I was in Folkestone yesterday. It was great. You can get there in about 50 minutes on the fast train from St Pancras, which you have to pay extra for, by the way. If you want to get there half an hour more quickly, you've got to pay extra to go on the fast train than if you go on the train that stops hither, thither and yon. Which should be the other way around. I mean, it must cost more in juice to get a train to stop-start rather than just hit a speed and carry on. Because then it just becomes, whatever the word is. Science. You know science?
No.
Yeah, science. Science says that it is more... science. Science?
No.
Yeah, science. Science says that it is more cheap, or in fact cheaper, to just hit a speed and carry on, rather than stop-start all the time. So, in fact, the fast train should be cheaper than the slow train. So what's that about? I thought Folkestone was great. What's not to like about Folkestone? I had one of the best meals of my entire life yesterday. It was in a Spanish place on the Harbour Arm. I don't want to mention it by name because it might sound like advertising, but it was called Pick Up Pink Sauce or Pink Sauce, or however you pronounce that. They didn't have anything on the menu. I said, I'll have this and this and this, followed by that and that and that. They said, oh no, we haven't got any of that. We've got like 3 things. And so I said, all right, then I'll have those 3 things. It was one of the best meals I've ever had in my life. How can you not like Folkestone? Let's have Bloomsbury. Sophia.
Good morning, Nick.
Yes, Sophia.
I'm glad you're well, or you will be.
I'm glad I'm well.
I'm glad.
I'm glad. I'm gladder.
As long as we've still got atmosphere for us all to breathe.
Yeah.
I always say every day, if you want a planet, you just put the E into plant, and then you might have one. Nevertheless,
you say that every day?
I do.
Don't you get tired of hearing it?
No, I get a little bit tired of it, but not really tired of it.
Not enough to complain.
Indeed, I'm not a complainer. But the sun is cooling, so...
The sun is cooling?
Yes.
I seriously doubt that.
Oh, well, anyway, but if you get the balance wrong, you're going to get O3.
You'll fall over.
And you get poisoned. And it's all because of the bees. We mustn't lose the bees.
BREXIT?
With the insecticides.
Oh, those bees.
Yeah, yes, be good, be nice, be happy. Buzz, buzz, buzz. But if you want a better kind of people, you
Yes.
can always download my novel, Nuclear Man.
Yeah, or not.
Sophia Snape from Amazon.
Yeah, probably not, no.
But probably not.
I'm
But anyway,
definitely not going to do that, ever.
if the Ice Age is coming back, we might get mammoths back again. And just imagine how...
Mammoths.
Yes.
Yeah, I bet they taste a bit like chicken.
I think they'll be pretty tough, so I wouldn't recommend a knife and fork anyway.
Well, you'd have to kill one first, yeah.
Yes, and I don't think you can do that at all.
Being as they don't exist.
They did once.
Well, they did.
The archaeologists have excavated them, particularly in Alaska, with the global warming, and they've found mammoths.
Got one in the back of my fridge. Yeah.
But I miss the lilac. I definitely miss the lilac.
What's the lilac? Where does that come in?
Well,
I shouldn't have asked, really, should I? Dangers you might tell me.
In Canley Street National Park. I always drive up there in the summer to see the lilac. There is some nearer to home, but this is better. I think it's because of the
You prefer
internet.
the lilac that's further away? Because of the internet? Oh,
Yeah.
well, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm glad we agree there, because the internet is just...
Yeah, that whole lilac issue on the internet just drives me up the wall, yeah.
Yeah, it's not the same as old-fashioned
Well, no, nothing is.
No, take up a whole room.
Take up this whole show just thinking about it, yeah.
Yeah, we used to meet everybody with the tapes going around, and people don't know why. I always like to have tapes going around.
Well, that makes perfect sense.
It does indeed, yes.
Okay, thanks a lot, Sophia. Yeah. What else can you say? Coming up, we dive into a debate about the value of the royal family, but first up, a heated conversation about you-know-what. Our world is growing fast, cars run more efficiently, to expanding the UK's largest electric vehicle charge.
You're right. Yeah, you're right, Nick. Yeah. I tried to ring yesterday, but my phone was a bit funny.
Funny?
MI5, I reckon. Yeah, it was crackling a bit.
MI5.
Anyway,
yeah, no doubt.
I reckon it was them again. MI6 or the CIA. Anyway, yeah, no, I was just thinking, especially off the last caller, and then Jane, a few calls before, Nyla was going to convince you to switch sides to Brexit. Totally lost. But the thing is, it's just that, look, the last caller, all Ramonas call Brexit, people who voted to leave, idiots. It's generally because they are. Because every time they come up with an argument and you rebuff it, they just go to the next one. So they go, how about the amount we pay into the EU? And you go, okay, well, this is what we get back directly and indirectly with investment and blah, 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 you know. And they go, oh, yeah, but what about they're unelected? You go, well, how are they unelected? And you try and explain the process of elections, which they've never voted before in their life anyway, so of course they haven't. They go, oh, well, I never elected George Juncker, every time. They go, yeah, but the people that you elected in this country in the European elections did vote. I think it's actually the heads of state who vote for the leader of the... Isn't it the European Commission?
Everybody that is a part of any of the different departments and colleges of the European Union have been either directly elected by the people or elected by the people that were directly elected by the people, which is which you can't say for this country.
No, exactly. This is what I mean. It's like you go, hold up, we've got a head, like you say, a head of state that hasn't been elected. It's actually an hereditary wealth. So basically, as soon as you're born into it, you live in absolute splendour and wealth.
It's absolutely preposterous. Yes.
Yeah. So this is.
But they defend that to the hilt. Of course. It's just absolutely ludicrous. It's indefensible. Our unelected head of state gifted it by God.
Exactly. We've got a head of state that no one elected is too blonde for the master race, and everyone's fine with that. But somehow, the EU and this is the thing as well as they go, oh yeah, but what was it? The last one I heard, it just killed me. That was it. It was this girl. She's going abroad, and she was like, I said, you know, after the free movement of people stops, you won't be able to just go on holiday as easy as you do now. She was real confused. She went, no, I can't I? I said, no, because obviously you end the free movement of people. It's not just them coming in, it's actually we going over there. And she's like, oh, I didn't vote for that. You didn't know what you voted for because you're an idiot. That's simple as that. So when... No.
Well, without saying anything controversial, Dean, an idiot, you say.
Well, you know.
Well,
all
I'll
right,
tell you what, people. I'll tell you what. I'll make a deal with you. If you stop saying stupid things, I'll stop thinking of you as stupid. How does that sound?
Exactly, my assessment is that. And the last thing as well, I'm just going to say, is that I get classed as unpatriotic because I don't want to drag my country into a recession, yeah, and actually, like you say, turn it more white than it already is. I mean, it's like when you go, Obama, the first black leader of America. How many people of colour do we have in our government? Because I can count 2.
Well, there's been a shake-up lately, and I think Boris Johnson was virtue signalling by some of his appointments, but so I don't know how many. It's hard to keep up, but you still have the upkeep of all the buildings and the staff to run them. These belong to the country, and we would still have to have a head of state, which would have to be paid. Although it may be cheaper, you would still have to pay out. That's completely incorrect in every respect, Steve. Why do we need a head of state? We've got a giant unelected upper house to put a brake on an erring prime minister. I mean, America doesn't have a head of state, not a separate one either, and it's doing very well.
I'm president! Can you believe it?
And as for the upkeep of the building, well, yes. But then we would really have an attraction for the tourists. Then we would have all of those palaces that would be open to the people, just like National Trust properties. And you'd have to pay to get in, but that would pay for the upkeep. And imagine all of the magnificence that we'd be able to see with our own eyeballs and touch and feel and squeeze it all. Be marvellous. But at the moment, all we do is get to pay for it, but we don't actually get to see it. Can't step inside, we just get to pay. John says, Nick, if the SNP get their wish for independence, does that mean that they'll sort defence themselves? If so, someone better tell them that a headbutt and a bottle of scotch around the ear ain't going to be enough to stop the Russians. The Russians aren't going to invade Scotland. Why would they do that? Defence. The amount of money that we spend on defence, for what purpose? All of those nuclear weapons. Why? Billions and hundreds of billions of pounds of money that we haven't got to spend on weapons that we're not going to use. And why do we need them? How many nuclear weapons does Belgium have, for instance? What a giant waste of money. We might as well just set fire to the money that we give the government in tax. What on earth do they do with it? Here's Ipswich. Hello, Gary.
Hiya, Nick.
Gary.
Well, that hundreds of billions of pounds, that keeps many rich people very happy.
Yeah.
Because the money
the defence industry.
Down in their bank account.
Yeah, Gary.
Well, that hundreds of billions of pounds, that keeps many rich people very happy.
Yeah.
Because the money
the defence industry.
Down in their bank account.
Yeah, the defence racket, yes.
Yeah, so now you know, so that's why we spend it. Yeah, I'm agreeing with a lot of what you're saying tonight.
What?
It hurts. But there's so many parallels with what you're saying about the Queen and being unelected and costing a lot of money, not value for money, and overrated. And
just that issue itself, that the Prime Minister of the day, up to his eyeballs with busy, and he has to drop everything to go and spend the afternoon chatting with the Queen in secret. Why?
Well, they're all interrelated, isn't Cameron, the Queen's nephew from about sort of 10 down or something?
Well, we're all the Queen's nephew from about 10 down.
Yeah. So what I was saying was, agreeing with a lot of what you're saying, but there's so many parallels with the EU. Unelected leaders, you've got given what you've given, they're not valued for money, they cost us more than what we're putting in.
Well, all of that's completely wrong, Gary, as you must know.
That's your spin on it. But
no, it's not my spin. It's the truth.
My spin on it is wait a minute. All this nonsense
about unelected European Union. Well, if anything is the opposite of democratic, it's this country. We have an unelected leader who answers to an unelected head of state who is overseen by an unelected upper house.
Well, you look at the disdain that the European leaders are putting upon our country.
Well, are you surprised the grief and aggravation that we've caused them over the last 3 years? I'm surprised they haven't chucked us out.
But the people people that have caused that aggravation are people like Theresa May that didn't deal with the issue.
Us, we have.
She
Our lot, our side.
Yeah, because she didn't want to leave. She was messing about. She was playing a game.
That's completely incorrect, Gary. That if they just okayed that perfectly fine deal that she came back with, we'd be out by now and we'd be talking about something else. But it's still going on, dragging on, making this country the laughing stock of the world. Holy moly! Donald Trump is running America, and we are the laughing stock of the world.
Oh, shut up!
How embarrassing is that? Yes, we absolutely are. The rest of the world is just looking at us with their mouths open.
Tomorrow, when we start our campaign for winning the World Cup, and then we will hold the Cricket World Cup, and then the Rugby World Cup, and then hopefully we'll win the Euros next year, you'll be thinking, wow, isn't our country great, instead of knocking it.
I'll be thinking, wow, somebody must have slipped something in my drink.
Well, what I don't get is tomorrow we're going to have about 3 different national anthems. We're going to have the Scottish playing theirs. We're going to have the Welsh playing theirs.
What's tomorrow?
And, on the rugby scene.
Rugby. Oh, well, I'm certainly glad you brought rugby up.
Boring!
And we'll be
Not
playing
remotely
the national anthem.
interested. How is that even a sport? Rugby? It's just a bunch of steroidal freaks running into each other.
we must join in then, Nick.
All right, as soon as I can locate a muscle, then I'll be right there. I still haven't found one, so I can't play rugby. Plus, there's the small matter of being frightened. That's it. If you like this, you'll probably like what I write. And my